We are organized.
Extremely.
I just get on the bus when they tell me to go.
We may be stupid, but by God, we're organized. I can promise you that.
Somebody please ask a question.
Yeah, let's get the hell out of this thing.
Roy, do you have any kind of significant New York City memories, basketball memories, as it relates to either here or your time recruiting at times, either here at Kansas or anything stick out going up there?
Oh, one of the greatest moments, you know, was my second year. We were picked 8th in the Big 8. You've probably heard this before. We went to preseason NIT and they had the #1 and #2 teams in the country. Vegas, that was Vegas's only loss, but it was to us that year. They wanted LSU to go up there, so I go to bed. We'd be UAB of all people, and go to bed thinking we're going to DePaul to play the next day. And I wake up the next morning, they changed it. They're sending us to LSU. And we go to LSU, they're ranked #2 in the country. They wanted to make sure that LSU got there. And I told our team we were going to beat their rear ends. And we did. We were going to spoil the party. And so we went to New York, and then we beat Vegas. And that was their only loss of that year. And then we beat St. John's in the final. So two great things. One is at the press conference, they introduced me as Ron Williams. And I told my guys that my team was playing so well that let's keep playing like I think we're going to, and by the end of this trip they'll know my blessed name. And then the second thing is that several years later, I was with a guy who was higher up at ESPN, and I told him I thought it was really better that they made brackets for the NIT. Because in the old days you played and then they decided who got the home game and then they played and you got, you know. He said, yeah, it never worked out. We wanted to. One year we even sent some dog up down to LSU and they beat Shaq, and I said, you blankety blank, I was that dog. But no, that was a great time. But we've won some tournaments up there and we've gotten beaten up there. But New York basketball is pretty important.
Does it have a special feeling when you play up there in New York?
You know, during the game, I don't care if we're in any place. Start to say some things that people would interpret as bad. I don't care. I like when I go out, I like for it to be warm. That's what I've said every year about where I wanted to go in the NCAA tournament. But during the game, no, it's just a game. The New York crowd's different. You got to understand that. We were in NIT one year, and a guy I could reach around and touch was on my case the whole daggum game and got into a little confrontation with the family members, and you know, so. But you just got to understand that part of it. But last time we were at the Barclays Center, Bryce, I got mad at him and set him down for 7 minutes and 45 seconds and came back in and made 11 in a row. So if I can do that with one of our players this week, I'll do it again.
Roy, you're an expert. How good is your team?
We can't even decide what practice time. There you go.
He missed that.
You missed the best part. Go ahead.
How good is your team?
On that question, I'm not an expert, and I'm being very sincere. I've had several people say, well, you're better this year than you were last year, and I'm saying, we don't have one consistent great defender, we don't have a rim protector, but we're making more shots, so which is more important, it depends on the game. You know, and, we're making more three-point shots, we don't have a consistent, especially now with Kenny out, and Bryce, I don't know, maybe worth something that I bet you Steve can get this right. Check the number of block shots that Bryce had compared to our whole team this year. I mean, it's a big positive for you when you take away a lot of easy baskets from the other team. And we haven't done that this year. So to answer your question, I don't know, but I hope that you'll still be asking that question 4 weeks from now, because I mean we've had an awfully good 4 weeks.
How many does our whole team have?
The whole team has 107 blocks. That's probably more than Bryce had.
He had 59.
Yeah. So he had 59 blocks, and this year our leader is Kennedy with 32. But I mean, Bryce blocked shots that people thought they were laying it up and they were open. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
What's your greatest concern in the postseason now compared to what it was a year ago at this time?
I think I always have the same concern at this time of the year is let's stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. Let's stay healthy so our best players can play in postseason. And that's what I've thought about every year. Last year we ended the season on a great regular season on a great win at Duke. This time we had a great win here at home. I sort of separate the NCAA tournament and the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournament. And don't ever consider it a continuation. I did that last year. Let's go to New York and play as hard as we can play, and perhaps they'll let us stay around and play longer. And then when we have selection Sunday and find out where we want us, I think we start a new tournament right then, and that's the way I looked at it.
Coach Krzyzewski said during that after the game that the biggest difference between your team now when you guys played in Durham is Theo. And even though he says he doesn't have to shoot, he can just be so effective out there. He hasn't scored the last 2 games, but for a coach that likes a lot of scoring, how effective can a guy like that be there and be for you in that mix there?
Well, his assist error ratio has just been off the charts. I think he was 7-2 or 7-1, 7-2 Saturday night. He makes plays. He is a playmaker. I'd like for him to score, and I'd like him to defend better and get all kinds of rebounds. But he is a playmaker, and that helps you in the big-time games because baskets aren't easy. And he helps you get some easy ones by his ability to pass and his ability to see things that some other people don't really do. So I think the biggest difference was twofold. You know, we had Isaiah, and it was a big difference. 7 for 9, and one of his misses was the easiest one he took was a big dunk. And so 21 points, 7 out of 8 from the floor. We didn't have that in Durham. And Luke and Tony still provided us a great lift. Joel Berry was 5 for 5 from 3 in the first half. So I give you 7 biggest differences right there. We just played better and made more shots, and they didn't make nearly as many as they made. They had some open shots yesterday. I mean, we guarded a bunch of them too. The best one we guarded, we made. Kennard made a big, tough 3 when we were right in his face, and he was off balance and everything. But they had some open ones that they missed this time. They didn't miss many of those in Durham.
Roy, kind of piggybacking on Theo, what is it about his court vision? Is he somebody who maybe anticipates where you're supposed to be that kind of allows him to see the floor the way he does, or is he somebody who knows where you're supposed to be? So
I think he knows where he's supposed to be, and he's not afraid. He's a risk taker. You know, I mean, he's operates on the edge a lot. I don't mind that. We're going to turn the ball over sometimes when you're trying to make plays. Sometimes when you're so conservative, you don't ever make a play. So he's a risk taker, but his judgment, you know, you go back and look his freshman year, he didn't have a very good assist-error ratio. And I talked to him about that. You've got to do better. And last year he was sensational, and this year he's been sensational as well. But and the other thing is that sometimes when he throws away, like come down the court and throw it across, he still doesn't see the defense. I mean, the offensive player was wide open, but here comes somebody running right down that end of the court, and he'll have some of those every now and then. And I just don't want him to make that kind of decision when the game's on the line.
Roy, you came in second in Coach of the Year voting. I remember Gary Parrish wrote something about you being very underappreciated. Do you feel like you're underappreciated nationally as a head coach?
No. You know, and I didn't. Steve called me yesterday and told me I was second after we discussed all the good stuff. And, you know, that's. I like one thing. You know, I like 2 things. I like winning, and I like the way the kids make me feel about what we're doing. And if you know, I don't know, Steve knows 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is, National Coach of the Year things. But I've got 2 that sit at my house up on the shelf that are by far the best. National Coach of the Year award. It's not even close. And it's the Wingfoot Award because they give it to the guy who won the national championship. Those are the 2 that every time I come in my house, if I've been gone half hour or 27 days, I walk by and see my rings are still there, and I see that those 2 trophies are still there. And they can take my pool table, my television, everything. I wouldn't even know it was gone. Surfboards? Yeah, they take the surfboards. I may see those when I was looking up to see them. But those 2 trophies, the Wingfoot Award, they give that. They call it the Wingfoot National Coach of the Year Award. But it goes to the guy who won the national championship. That's the one I like to win. But no, it's, you know, I saw Gary's article and I appreciated it, but I like winning and we're doing okay.
Roy, Justin very easily could have gone pro last year, but went through the combine, got feedback, came back, and of course is now player of the year. Is that kind of the ideal example of how the combine and draft process should work?
I don't know that it was the combine because before he went, I told him the same thing he got from the guys, you know, so he got the same information from our staff, but it makes it easier to talk to or have to put up with what the agents say, because all the agents tell coaches a lie. They want to keep you in all this BS. I told him what I thought before he went up there, and he went up there and they told him the same thing that I thought. I think it's always good for a young man to be able to get as much information as he can possibly get. And you'll always have people saying, well, you don't trust so-and-so or don't trust. I don't think I'd have been in this business for 29 years if kids couldn't trust me. And there's been some times when I've told kids, you really need to go, and they didn't. And I've had a situation where I'm scared to death. I've told them I'm scared to death. Because I think you shouldn't go unless you're guaranteed to be a #1 pick. And nowadays you see #1 picks spending half their time in the NBDL. But we can't compete with that. I mean, it's the reason I think you should be cautious is because, pick a number, I don't know how long ago it was. It used to be 4 years guaranteed, now it's 2. So if you don't do very well quickly, you're out. John Henson's dad said it best. He said it's not how quickly you get to the NBA, but how ready are you when you get there. And it's even more important now because it's a 2-year deal, or you're gone and they bring somebody else in. But I love the combine. I love the fact that those people could sit down and talk to the NBA instead of talking to some guy who's an agent or says he's an agent or thinks he's an agent or tries to tell everybody he knows more than anybody else in the civilized world, and using that information. So I love it. I think it was good for Justin to go. I think that he made his mind up himself by the way he played. He didn't listen to what anybody told him. He made up his mind himself what he needed to do, and that's the best part, is that he didn't have me convincing him one way or the other. He didn't have anybody else convincing himself one way or the other. He made the decision he thought was best for him.
How proud are you that he was able to win that?
Pardon?
How proud are you that Justin Jackson was able to win that ACC Player of the Year award? Because it also recognized how successful your team was, you know, for him to be able to get that individual award. How proud are you that he got it?
Extremely proud, and I love the part. Well, I called him and told him, and he said, Coach, it's all about winning. And I said, yeah, but it's about something else, because it's 2 things. And I've always said that the teams that win, their players will get, sort of corny, but it's what I say anyway, the teams that win, the players get the awards and rewards. And so he said it's about winning. And I said, I appreciate that, but it's something else. And this is what you should feel really good about. It's about the sweat, because that young man put in the sweat. I don't know that I've ever had anybody that shot any more than worked on the shot any more than he did. And he didn't have to change anything. He just needed all the reps. Raymond Felton changed his shot dramatically from his sophomore year to his junior year. Sophomore year, Raymond shot like 31% or something. But his junior year, the next year, he led the ACC in 3-point field goal shooting. That was a lot of sweat. So for Justin, it helps that our team won, but that young man feels really good, and I do too, because he put in the sweat, and I love that part of it.
Is there a I'm sorry, Andrew?
What were you saying?
I was going to ask, a lot of people obviously notice, you know, the improvement with his shot and his shooting. What are some less obvious things that he's improved? What are things that people don't appreciate about him?
You know, I think he's rebounding better, but I haven't looked at the numbers. I know he's defending better. I don't know how his assist-to-error ratio has changed. I know it was positive last year. I know it's positive this year. But he's willing to make the big plays. And I mean, he's made some big shots. And there have been times that he's carried our team. When we played, was it Virginia? Yeah, Virginia here, right before half, it was 18-18. You know, he had all 18. And see, he is confident. He can answer those good questions. But he's carried our team. And last year, Bryce carried our team, or Marcus carried our team. But this year, there have been times that he's carried our team. Joel carried our team in the first half Saturday night. So I think he's a better basketball player. He's more physical. He's jumping higher. His, you know, don't get carried away. I mean, he's still not Michael, but his dunks are more authoritative. I just think he's a better basketball player in every area, and a big part of that is his sweat in the weight room, and a big part of that is sweat. I'm working on his shot. That's giving him more confidence to try to do some other things. But I mean, Saturday he had, I think Steve said, 3 assists in about a 6-minute period. That was huge for us during the course of the game. So I think he's improved in every phase of the game.
Took a big charge.
Is there a moment early in the season where you knew, okay, Justin is a different player in all the areas that you were just talking about?
I think just a general feeling after 5 weeks of practice and what was going on in practice every day, and then how he was coming through in the games. I think it was not just one moment.
You mentioned Michael earlier. Did you get a chance to talk with him outside of what you exchanged on the court? Michael Jordan?
Yeah, he was in my office early before the game. We sat and visited for a little bit. I talked to him on Friday on the phone.
Anything?
No, it's none of your business. Or what is that nice, polite saying? If I told you I'd have to kill you, is that more polite? No, I mean, we talk about golf, we talk about shoes, we talk about basketball. He's a good friend.
Coach, I had some questions from some media in New York. One is, given the history and tradition of New York basketball, what kind of opportunity do you think this is for the ACC to bring its tournament to Brooklyn?
Well, it's always called the media capital of the world. More people will be aware of what's going on. Going through this New York and playing in the course of your tournament run, it's a fantastic experience for you. The New York media will really cover it, and it'll go everywhere. I think that, I love Greensboro and what they do. The whole town knows what's going on in New York. The whole town won't know what's going on with the ACC tournament. But still, I just think it's a wonderful venue, and one that the kids would really be happy about if they play well. If they play poorly, they won't care.
If you had to sum up for New York City fans who aren't very familiar with the ACC this year, what are they going to see? What kind of basketball is the ACC bringing to New York?
I think it's the toughest conference in the country, the most skilled conference in the country from top to bottom. They'll see some great basketball games, and they'll see a lot of guys out there that want to play basketball for a living, and perhaps even coming back to New York and playing with New York and coming back to play the Knicks or the Nets. But they'll see college basketball at its highest level.
Last question I have. In your possible opponents for Thursday, you play a team, could play a team Syracuse, which you beat by 17 points, or a team Miami that you lost to by 15 points. Can you tell, are those two teams very similar to when you played them, or do you think they're very different from when you last played them?
I'll have to sit on the fence there because I watched Miami play Virginia, I guess it was. It's the only time I've seen Miami play since we played them. And I don't think I've seen Syracuse play more than 2 minutes since we played them. Syracuse always played the zone. Miami hurt us down there at their place with the zone, but they hurt us more with how aggressive they were offensively. Syracuse provides a bad matchup for us with Tyler Lydon because he can go out on the court, shoot with such deep range as a four-man, but that's about it.
Does playing up there change the logistics at all in terms of traveling and getting on the bus earlier and dealing with traffic?
Yeah, I mean, dealing with traffic is always going to be a problem. You don't ever know. But I've been on the bus before. We're going down the main streets in Manhattan. The bus driver said, "Coach, we're not going to make it." And he did a U-turn right in the middle of 6-lane street in the middle of New York City. He was right. We didn't make it on time. We got there before the game was supposed to start.
What game was that?
It's when I was in Kansas.
Okay.
Well, in looking at the stats, this may seem obvious to you, but there's a strong correlation between when Joel plays well, UNC plays well. When Joel struggles, UNC struggles. For comparison, Justin actually plays better when you guys have lost. Is that an indication of just the importance of the point guard position and what you do, or is that unique to this particular team?
I think it perhaps could be skewed by the fact that 2 of the losses Justin has really still scored. And but we played Georgia State. Nobody played well. Period. In Miami, nobody played well. You can go up and down that, but I think it would be, if you take out a couple of those games, I think Justin's stats would be just like Joel's. But there's no question that point guard is extremely important, and different point guards have different styles. I mean, Joel's ability to shoot the ball from three-point line has been extremely important to what other people label as success. Kendall Marshall he didn't have any of those 5 three-point games, but his ability to pass and get shots for everybody else probably wouldn't show up quite as much as it does with Joel's three-point shots going in. But no, I think the point guard, big guy. Some people like the big guy, but I've never coached a game in my life that I felt comfortable unless our point guard was really playing well.
Coach, you mentioned the zone. How has your team improved against the zone this season in ACC play?
Well, we shoot the ball better from three-point line. that's the biggest thing. We don't pass it inside nearly as well as we did last year. I mean, Bryce's passing inside against his own half Syracuse was as good as I've ever had any big man. Here, when we played Virginia, we handled it. They're double in the low post. When we played Virginia at Virginia, we didn't handle the double in the low post. But the biggest thing is you got to shoot the ball in the hole, and if you miss it, go rebound it. And I think we've done a good job of that for the most part.
Roy, what does the phrase "the ceiling is the roof" mean to you?
You know, this got a lot of attention. I didn't even know about it until this morning. Clock goes off at 6:55, and Ron Stutz said something about it this morning, so I had to come in and ask everybody what the heck they were talking about. And then they asked me about it. I was on Mike and Mike this morning. I said, I don't care what he said. I said, he's Michael Jordan. And daggum thing he wants to say is okay with me. Anybody wants to criticize him, it's probably those guys that aren't Tar Heels. And so I have no idea. I haven't talked to him. I can assure you I did not talk to him. Well, I haven't talked to him since he left. I would assume that the phrase probably got mixed up with the sky's the limit and let it go at that, but it means nothing to me whatsoever. It's Michael Jordan, do what the dickens he wants to do.
Thank you, everybody.
There you go.
Thanks, Coach.
We'll get Joel Bear and Justin, I'm not sure which